Hello friend, it's BAWLER again, and I have some exciting news for you. Please subscribe to my channel and let me know what you think about it. We're far from finished. That was the unmistakable message delivered at the latest NATO summit, one that echoed all the way to President Putin's office in the Kremlin. As the war in Ukraine grinds on, Putin might have hoped that the West's resolve would fade, that over time, Ukraine's allies would grow tired of supplying money, weapons, and vehicles, eventually clearing the path for a Russian triumph. But the opposite is happening. NATO's support for Ukraine is stronger than ever. The alliance is deepening its commitment to helping Ukraine resist Russian aggression. NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte made that absolutely clear during the summit held on June 24, 25 in The Hague. The gathering brought together all 32 NATO heads of state or government, senior EU officials, and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Rutte stood beside European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, European Council President Antonio Costa, and Zelensky to affirm the alliance's united front and enduring assistance to Ukraine. Rutte announced that NATO members, including Canada, are increasing their military aid to Ukraine in 2025. Already over $35 billion has been pledged, and it's not even July yet. Last year's total was just above $50 billion. So projections suggest that this year's support will surpass that figure, possibly reaching $60 or even $70 billion. When added to US contributions and other partners' efforts, this financial and military aid will significantly bolster Ukraine's defenses, helping its troops withstand relentless Russian assaults. Rutte also emphasized NATO's long-term resolve, stating that support for Ukraine is now intrinsically tied to NATO countries' defense spending. He addressed Putin directly, stating that even after a ceasefire or peace agreement is reached, Ukraine must remain strong enough to ensure that Putin never dares to invade a single square kilometer of its territory again. Putin wasn't present at the summit, but he undoubtedly heard the message loud and clear, and likely didn't like what he heard. He's too invested in this war to walk away. He sees victory in Ukraine as essential to his legacy and cannot afford defeat. Rumors suggest that even Russia's oligarchs are growing impatient as the conflict drags on and the economy deteriorates. This pressure might explain why Russia has intensified its attacks, attempting to force gains and overwhelm Ukrainian defenses. But NATO's increasing commitment is pushing Putin's victory further out of reach. The longer the war continues, the more Russian troops are wounded or killed, adding to a casualty count that already exceeds 1 million, and the closer Putin is pushed back toward a negotiating table. Following Rutte's speech, Zelensky expressed gratitude for NATO's solidarity. He highlighted the visible unity among allies and how it empowers Ukraine to survive and support its citizens both at home and abroad. European Council President Costa also delivered a powerful statement labeling Russia a global threat, not just for its invasion of Ukraine, but for undermining the international rules-based order and for forging dangerous alliances with regimes like North Korea and Iran. Costa pointed out that North Korea has not only supported Russia rhetorically, but has also sent troops to the front lines. Thousands have already died, and Kim Jong-un is reportedly preparing to send another 6,000 personnel to aid in demining and reconstruction in the Kursk region. Iran's involvement runs deep as well. Russia has procured large quantities of Iranian Shahed drones and, according to intelligence reports, has received Iranian assistance in building a domestic drone manufacturing facility. President Zelensky revealed that over 28,000 Shahed-type drones have been launched at Ukraine since 2022, with nearly 2,700 fired in just the last month, none of it possible without Iran's help. Costa continued, condemning Putin for refusing to agree to a ceasefire and intensifying his campaign. He also voiced his hope that Ukraine will one day become a full-fledged EU member, a statement guaranteed to provoke anger in Moscow. Putin has long demanded that Ukraine remain neutral and never join NATO or the EU, fearing the expansion of Western influence toward Russia's borders. But the EU and NATO leaders are undeterred. As Costa put it, NATO will not give in to intimidation. That sentiment was reinforced by European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, who unveiled a major new initiative, SAFE, Security Action for Europe. This $150 billion fund is designed to help EU members and Ukraine invest in cutting-edge defense systems, including drones, ammunition, mobility tech, AI, and electronic warfare. Von der Leyen praised Ukraine's remarkable innovation in defense, pointing to systems like the Sapsan ballistic missile with a 300-kilometer range and payloads over 1,000 pounds. She also referenced the TLK-1000 underwater drone, nearly 40 feet long and capable of carrying massive warheads. Such technologies are helping Ukraine emerge as a global leader in defense manufacturing. Von der Leyen also reiterated that financial support for Ukraine will continue and called for sustained pressure on Russia to force a genuine negotiation. As for sanctions, while there was concern that Hungary's Viktor Orban or Slovakia's Robert Fico might block the 18th sanctions package, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz confirmed it will proceed and called on the US to do more as well. He stated that sanctions, not battlefield victories, will be key to ending the war. Merz noted that Russia is ramping up military recruitment and spending. Putin aims to build an army of 1.5 million, offering cash incentives and even coercing Central Asian migrants to enlist under threat of punishment. In April 2025, Russia launched one of its largest conscription drives in recent memory. The defense budget has ballooned to over $100 billion in 2024 and is expected to hit $197 billion in 2025, more than 7% of GDP. These numbers reflect Putin's desperation. Once confident of a quick conquest, he now faces a prolonged war with no end in sight. Ukraine, meanwhile, has not only defended its territory but also carried out operations like the Kursk Offensive and Operation Spider Web on Russian soil. Putin has responded by throwing money at the war, hoping sheer force will lead to victory, but NATO and the EU are responding proportionally. Their message is clear: more Russian aggression will be met with more Western support. This is no longer just about Ukraine, it's about global stability. At the summit, Rutte stressed that NATO must face not only Russia, but also China, Iran, and North Korea. He warned that the world cannot afford to be short-sighted. NATO must be prepared to handle simultaneous crises in Ukraine, the Middle East, Africa, and Asia. If we can't do that, he said, we have no business in politics or defense. Rutte concluded by stating NATO's clear objective: make sure Ukraine has all the tools to stay in the fight and negotiate from a position of strength, ensuring that Putin never again threatens Ukrainian territory. That's the strategy. Keep Ukraine strong, prolong the resistance, and corner Putin into real negotiations with no advantage to exploit. As Russia expands its army and pours money into the war, NATO is doubling down on Ukraine's defense, making it ever harder for Moscow to win. The only real question is, how long until Putin finally accepts that the war is unwinnable and returns to the table? Please support my channel with a small donation. It's not much for you, but for me it's an incentive to keep going and bring you important news. I've included a PayPal link to support my channel in the description for this video. Thank you.